I may say I am a human, but God says I am God. Kabir is the first messenger of God. Kabir was the first one, I am the second one. God said, I will be coming across through your body, through your face, through your voice. There are 4 levels of God. He called them as the 4 Ram. My soul left around 2000 years back from the kingdom of God in order to do the work of God when God comes on this planet. There is no soul in us. What is the purpose of the soul? Twofold. Number one, it writes our story, and after we are born, it puts the breath in us. The spirit doesn't want you to know your future. Unless it is the will of the spirit that you know your future, you will not. No astrologer can predict your future. Humans must not listen to the message of God. Humans must not go to the God. Humans must not continue to be with God. We are not that important for God. My audience are today more open to listen to the way I am speaking to them.
In a world plagued with suffering and pain, we often think of two things. How are we to blame, and who should we turn to? Should we go towards God, or should we head inwards? Hi, this is Ankita from HyBiz Tv, and today we have with us Pradip Mukherji ji, and he's an author of a wonderful book called Messenger from God. Sir, what makes you God in this way?
You started with what makes me God. Everything that prevails in the world of God is the will of God. And it just happens to be that it was the will of God that I be God. And I be God to the world. But I struggle to be God within me. So, but I follow the will of God. And I tell people that I am basically a messenger of God, which I have been for many years. And people would call me sir at that point of time. I still tell people call me sir as a way to address. And if you feel in your experience anything that is a little bit godly in me, not that I am godly, if you feel it to be a godly, then you can call me God. So that is the way it is.
That's wonderful, sir. Let me tell you, your aura is very peaceful. When I first met you, I felt that there's something in you that could probably make me think positive towards life. You know, some people have negative aura, some has positive. But coming to that, I want to ask you one thing. When was the first time you realized within yourself that this was the calling that God is asking from you?
It did not happen like that. It's somewhere in the year of 2008. I was very well established in my business, living a very comfortable life. And then there was a very strong thought that it is now time to go. So I left everything. I came out not knowing what I'm going to do. And for a long time, I didn't know what to do, and I went into depression. But I knew a few healing modalities. I used them to come out of my depression. When I came out of my depression, there were some people who said, what was it that you used? Can you teach us? So that is how I started with my first class, teaching others modalities. First class means 15 people. This continued for a few years. And then I told to myself, why not have my own modality? So one day in the night, I sat and said to the universe, if there is anyone listening, I want my own modality. And then someone came from the invisible world. Someone came and gave me a modality which had to fulfill many conditions. Number one, it had to be very simple. It had to be done very fast. It had to create results in real time, and it has to have a repeatability factor, not like only once it creates and no more. And something that I can teach to others. So whatever was given to me, it fulfilled all the criteria. That's when I then tried out this modality on me. I found very good results, and I then started teaching to others. In the first class, after it was over, one lady came to me. She was a clairvoyant. She said that was Shiva in this room. And then I said yes, because the one who came to me and gave the modality was Shiva. Now you can understand, because of this, I have certain perceptive and cognitive abilities with which I can figure out or know something from the invisible world. So, this is how my journey started in the world of healing using Shiva's methods. And after that, there were other deities who came, like Rama, Krishna. There were gurus who came, like Mahavatar Babaji and Sai Baba. They all gave me their techniques, which I used to teach. And then one day, no one was coming. I couldn't talk with anyone. And at that point of time, I was like, what happened? And then one voice telepathically told to me, it is now time to work for me. I said, who are you? He said, God. I said, which God? Because I've already worked with so many gods. And I had worked with all the gods, and I had connected with all the demons and all the nonsense lower world things and the upper world things. So I had gone through the whole gamut of it, talking to all of them. So I said, which one? He said, none of them. I said, then he said, I am the supreme. Now, at that point of time, I did not know about the king of the universe. For me, like Shiva is the ultimate. So I thought, okay, someone above Shiva. So there was one more in between. I wasn't aware of that. So that is how my work with God started. God said, my job will be to assist God in freeing the souls from the clutches of the king. Now I got it. Oh, there is a king. And where is it in the hierarchy? Above Shiva. So this is how the whole thing started.
Sir, so you have talked about different modalities that you were aware of, and also like, were you always spiritually aligned to these things? Did when the God appeared in your dreams, did you question him that is this for real or is this some figment of my imagination? Because sometimes when we are disturbed, we start thinking maybe this is God, maybe this is not. You know, when you have an external voice, and then you start questioning it. What was the time when you realized, this is really God, this is not something which I'm imagining out of, some imaginary?
Okay. First thing, God did not come in my dream. He came in my conscious state. That doesn't mean I have seen God, because I have not seen God, I have not known God, I have not met God, and I have not experienced God. None of this, no. I only received the instructions from God telepathically as a thought, which I follow.
So let me just interrupt you. Was it a voice?
No, it was not a voice, it's a thought.
Thought.
But now the question comes, was it my thought, God's thought, someone else's thought? So that is why I told God, listen, you are saying you are God. I don't know. Maybe you are. You could also be a product of my imagination. Maybe I am hallucinating that you are God. It is also possible you are some entity, some devil, some deity. You could be anything, because I have now covered all of them by now. So I am not going to trust you. I am not going to believe in you. I am not going to have any faith in you. I am not going to have any devotion, and I am not going to have any reverence. So that was my relationship with God, which is a place of me and you are equal. And let's focus on the work, and I will evaluate the work whether it serves anyone or not. If I find it serving someone, then I will continue, otherwise, I will discontinue.
So you've talked about Supreme. We as humans have majorly heard about gods more. Why is Supreme or the King always behind the scenes somewhere? Why haven't we heard much about them?
First thing, let me make a distinction that God is supreme, King says he is supreme.
Okay, so the King, sir. Why haven't we heard much about it?
We have heard about the king in our religion as Mahadev, as Kal Brahm, as Jyoti Niranjan, as Mahakal. In other religions, we have heard about the king as Allah, as Jehovah, as Ahura Mazda, as Lord or the Father. In the Sikhs, as Vaheguru. So he has come across in different religions with different names.
So the King is a good energy or a bad energy? Who is the King?
I do not look at the king as good energy or bad energy. I look at the king as an individual, not as energy. And as an individual who has to eat the grime of the humans, that is his compulsion. And grime just means that which is created from our negative thought, feeling, and emotions. And negative thought, feeling, and emotions are created from our suffering and pain. That is why humans have to go through suffering and pain in order to create thoughts, negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions, which creates the food for the king.
Sir, coming up to that, I'd want to ask you, like, in India, religion is one of the, as you can say, the savior of us when it comes to our suffering. Most of the people go to God and they pray and they believe that somewhat it will give them peace and relief. Your books talks about different perspective when it comes to religion, when it comes to, first God, second God, third God, fourth God, and levels. Could you give us a light on that? Because I'm also, as a a new gen person, not really aware of it.
Which one? The different gods, or what exactly?
Different gods, and also the part where you believe that religion is mainly not the work of the god, but mainly propagated by the king.
Well, there are different gods. This was the understanding that actually first Kabir brought in, because Kabir first is the first messenger of God. King has many messengers, which has created the religions. But God doesn't have many messengers. Kabir was the first one. I am the second one. Kabir gave a lot of information about God, partly distorted, but still some idea about God which earlier was not available. And it was Kabir who said to us that there are 4 levels of God. He called them as the 4 Ram, because actually there is only one Ram, which is God. The other 3 are false Ram. So he says the first Ram is the Ayodhya Ram, in which he said are all the deities whom you worship, starting from Durga, Shiva, Krishna, Rama, and anyone down the line, with what we call as the Kul Devi, Gam Devi. These are all those deities from so-called superstition of the people in the villages. So he put all of them in one group. The one above to that, he said, is your soul. So he said the soul is inside you. But actually, he meant that people assume the soul to be inside. So words he used was Pehla Ram Dashrath ka beta, Duja Ghat Ghat mein beta, which is inside. And he said the third one, Sakal Pasara, which is everywhere, because it is the king whose creation is everywhere and whose rule is everywhere, whose law is everywhere, whose awareness is everywhere. So when people say Kan Kan mein Bhagwan, they are referring to the king, because the king is in every particle, every animate object, every inanimate object. And then it is God right on top. So about this, the king Kabir did not speak much, because Kabir wanted to expose the king, but he couldn't do it to the extent that I have done, because I have a different audience, I have a different way of coming across. I am not bound by the way Kabir was bound. So I have many freedom which Kabir did not have. And my audience are today more open to listen to the way I am speaking to them.
So, sir, one more thing I want to ask is, in India, it is believed when somebody dies or passes away, their soul goes through dimensions, and then you have, one life, second life, third life, based on your karma, and all other things are there, even on the internet, and, our elders also say these things. How much of it is true and how many are myths?
Partly it is true and partly it is not true. When a person dies, first thing, nothing happens to the soul and it has no journey. The soul has no journey. The soul is not kind of a good soul and a bad soul. The soul is not affected by what the humans are doing, good or bad. The soul is neutral. It is the soul who writes our storyline. And soul makes sure that we will be good or bad, whether we will do good things or bad things, or very bad things or very good things. And the soul is untouched by anything that the human does. So what you said that it has to go through certain levels, no. So I tell people that your 5 things, the first one is your body, the second one is your mind, the third one is your spirit, the fourth one is your energy bodies, and the fifth one is your personality. Other than these 5, there is nothing in you. I did not mention soul here, because there is no soul in us. What is the purpose of the soul? Twofold. Number one, it writes our story, and after we are born, it puts the breath in us. Beyond that, the soul does nothing. Then the soul can be anywhere. Then people say if the soul is not within us, we will die. No. Our death and our life is decided by the spirit. The spirit puts the life force in us. It animates us. It follows the storyline and executes the events. It makes us successful or a failure. It makes us good or bad. It makes us do good things and bad things. It gives us money and takes away our money. It makes us fall in love and takes our love away. There is nothing. It gives us every thought, feelings, and emotions in us. Now, people say, no, that can't be. I said, okay, if that cannot be, can you for the next 2 hours tell me what exactly you are going to think and what exactly you are going to feel and what exactly what emotions you are going to have? So, if you have free will, do it for 2 hours and let me see. You cannot do it. That means it is not in your control. That means someone is doing it for you. So, whether you call that someone your unconscious mind, but that is coming assuming it is everything from the mind. But because I know the bigger landscape, I know it is the spirit that does all these things. And it does according to the storyline. So, whatever your question was about after death, now after death, what happens? After death, the physical body is burnt or buried. The story is no more, so mind has now no purpose. It neither has the hardware anymore to do any work. Then comes the spirit. The spirit leaves. It comes when we are born, it goes away when we die. Actually, it is the reverse. When it leaves, we die. But doctors will say if there was an organ failure, brain stroke, whatever. But because it left, so we died. And the beauty is, there have been many cases where people have died, certified by doctor as died, taken to the cremation ground, put on the pyre that to be burnt, and as the fire is being put on the woods, the guy sits up and starts walking.
I've heard about them, sir.
Now, what exactly happened? It is the spirit again that came back, animated that body mind. Now, people get scared. They assume it's something to do with bhoot, pret, ghosts, but it's not that, it's spirit. So, spirit came and reanimated a dead body. It can do that. And it can even rejuvenate a dead body, a sick body. So, maybe the person died sick, but it not only brought it alive, but it can even make that totally 100% healthy. So, this is spirit. But we are talking about what happens after death. Now, after death, I talked about the energy bodies. The lowest energy body is known as the astral body. The astral body basically goes through a life review. And after that life review, it goes to the ancestral world. The next one is known as the mental body. The mental body carries the karmic baggage, goes to the next incarnation. And the third body, energy body, is known as the etheric energy body, which goes to the king, carrying all the grime to be the food of the king. This is what happens after death.
Sir, so one more thing, like as what I understand in layman terms, that the soul is the editor of our life. The spirit is the producer who's making some actions and we are, doing some activity. But why are some people having storyline which is pathetic and some people have an average storyline? And there are some people who are actually going to the astrologers or they're showing for the palm readers, and palm readers say कि हाथ के जो लकीरें होती हैं, they change every 6 months. So if these people have the control of a storyline or it's predestined, then what are other people talking about?
I would say soul is the script writer, and I would say spirit is the director who brings that script and makes it alive. In this case, let's say 3D space instead of a 2D space on the movie theater, we have a 3D effect. And then you talked about the astrologer. Now, part of the astrologer is they try to go into the storyline through whatever way they have learned and try to tell you that this is what is going to happen into the future. Most of them are very accurate with the past, but most of them are not so accurate with the future, because the spirit doesn't want you to know your future. Unless it is the will of the spirit that you know your future, you will not, no astrologer can predict your future. Again, it comes to the spirit. Does the spirit want you to know the future, or it doesn't want you to know? So back to the spirit again. Even the astrologer cannot do anything.
So what about the palm readers, sir?
Well, palm reading and astrology, they are just different branches, that's all.
So coming back to your book, sir, you have talked about a lot of things in your book. So could you in a brief tell us what your book, like, can you highlight a few pointers from the book that people might take away?
Actually, from the book, you cannot take anything away, because the book is giving informations which is very difficult to digest, which is totally out of the box, which does not have any, it will not tally with what they have known, either spiritually or through their religion. So there is nothing that you will take away. If you take away, you will become righteous about the book. And the book was not meant for that purpose. Basically, the book was actually meant for one purpose, that you should talk to the book. And talk to the book about all your pain and suffering and all your anxiety, all your stress, all your headache, all your pain, and everything that is you are scared about. In short, negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, pour it here for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, check it out. Has the book delivered to you or not? Do not go into a controversy called, is this God or is this only a face? Because that doesn't serve you. If you believe this is God and the book has not delivered, of what use is of this God to you? And if you don't believe this is God, but if the book delivers, well, the book now has a purpose, because you then continue speaking to the book. So I present this book as a utility. I present God as a utility, not to create a new religion, not to create a new cult, not to create a new following, not to raise an organization that these are the God people who are going to be bringing forth a whole new teaching to the world, because God has no teaching, zero teaching.
So actually in today's world, a lot of us believe in, maybe, I don't know about the future, but we are in the age of Kali Yuga. Do we say it because we are more materialistic, greedy? We think of problems as more problematic than it actually is. You know, earlier the lives were simpler. Now when you ask me to write, think about things and, look at your face, I'd have 100 things to speak about. Earlier people never used to be like that. So is that the age where king is governing our entire universe, and is there any way we can get rid of it?
First thing, you must understand, why is it that today's suffering and pain is so much? For only one reason. King was waiting for when God will come into this universe, because God is not in this universe, or currently it is, was not before 2015. So it is in 2015 that God came into the universe. And King was planning for it for more than 10,000 years. And it started, the planning was about, it sent one of his sons, Shiva, into the human incarnation to start teaching people about things which would take them either towards spirituality or towards religion. It was a 10,000 years experiment. Now when King knew that time has come for God to come, King created an environment in which people would be more and more stressed out. Purpose only one thing, they will be so deep in their stress, so deep in their greed, so deep in their wanting, so deep in all their distractions, either in the digital world or in the meta world or in their entertainment or in the sports. There will be no one interested in God. So King had created every infrastructure with one purpose. Humans must not listen to the message of God. Humans must not go to the God. Humans must not continue to be with God. Three purpose King has.
So why isn't God saving us from the wrath of king?
First thing, we are not that important for God.
We are not? Who are?
Soul. Why we are not important is because within a span of 5 to 50 years, we all are going to die. So what will God do with us? But the souls God is interested in, and the souls are trapped in the domain of the king. So the souls, he wants them to go back home because they want to go back home. It is like you are not interested in your shadow. So the way we are created is just like that shadow. Only difference is our shadow has no, it is not animate. Soul's creation is animate. But still, because God is right now using the humans for the souls to go back home, God said, I will give some relief to the humans. And that some relief comes from the book or the healing card. But God says, I will not change your storyline. Why? Because three things belong to the king: your body, your mind. Your mind is nothing but the mind of the king. And your storyline, which was created by the king through the soul, because soul acts as the king wants it to act, and it writes storyline as the king wants it. So since none of these belong, or rather all of these belong to the king, God will not touch them. Then God says, what I will do is, in the storyline, wherever there is some gap I notice, I will bring in that relief and ease in those gaps. And you experience that for 30 days. If you feel that is enough for you to be with God, continue to be with God. If you feel it is not enough, let God go, be with the king.
So, why do you think God chose you as the messenger of God?
I thought God made a mistake in the beginning. Okay? Why? Because there's nothing in me that is godly, which means I do not consider me to be a holy person. I do not consider that I have done good deeds in my life. I do not consider that I am a man of very good character. I do not consider that I have never hurt people. I do not consider that I have no negativity in me. In short, everything that a normal human being has, I have everything. And then I am like, why did you choose me? You should have gone to some guru. You should have gone to some enlightened person. You should have gone to some master, some acharya, some person who has purified their body and mind. This body and mind is 100% polluted. Why did you come to me? So it took me a while to understand, and what unfolded was that my soul left around 2000 years back from the kingdom of God in order to do the work of God when God comes on this planet. Now, 2000 years back, I did not immediately start in the human incarnation. I moved through various star systems. And as I was moving through various star systems, the last one prior to planet Earth was I was in the star system Sirius. So I was a Syrian and then started my human incarnation. And in this human incarnation, this is my seventh life. That is the reason that God chose me, because it was preordained.
So, some people have past life memories. Do you think it is because, as you said, like there's some incomplete job which they couldn't complete in their last lives, and that is why the remembrance of them is important for them to proceed in this one?
The remembrance of the past life basically is for twofold. One, it can either cause you to heal, and number two, it can let you have a clarity that why not let it go now. We do not remember the past lives for very simple reason that we cannot live our current life. A very simple example I gave is someone actually remembered that few houses down the line, the lady staying there was my wife, and I was so much in love with my wife. So his love for that woman is there, and he has the memories of the previous life. He goes and expresses it to the woman. The woman says, I don't remember anything. The woman is not interested. His wife is also now not okay with everything happening, and this person is neither here nor there. Because that one whom you loved is no more your wife, which means that all those people with whom you had a relationship with in the past, if you remember them, you cannot have a normal relationship with people in your current life because they will be different.
So, coming back to your book, how does your book heal people, and how did people start to get to know about you? Was it word of mouth? Was it based on their experiences? or was it simply the trust they had in you?
No, the experience they got from what I said. No one trusted me because I have no credibility in anyone's eyes. I told them, test it out. So when I was delivering the workshops, I told them, test out what I am giving to you. When I give them the book, I say, test out the book. If I give them the healing card, I say, test out the healing card. If you find it benevolent, continue. If you find it not serving you, drop it.
So, sir, actually, by looking at your face, is it because there's some conscious levels that are being created? For example, people these days say when you create a vision board, like it's being trending on YouTube, whatever you have pictures of that, somehow you manifest it. Is that the manifestation which is going through your face, or is it because of the energy that you have, or is it because the mantras that you're giving?
You see, God said, I am God, okay? I may say I am a human, but God says I am God. And God said, I will be coming across through your body, through your face, through your voice, and I will touch people through my grace will touch people. And this grace, one of the biggest component will be freedom, which means the people will have a choice to accept this grace or to shut this grace out. If people shut it out, God steps back. If people accept the grace, God continues to have a relationship or rather connection with that human. So, whatever you see in me is nothing but God radiating through me. And that has got nothing to do with the quality of this human.
Wonderful, sir. Can you talk about the mantras that you have in the book?
Mantra is not given in the book. For mantra, people have to come to my website or someone who already has a mantra. They can give, or it is given from the website. The mantra is a way to constantly be connected with God 24/7. It's a 2-minute mantra, very simple. There is a Hindi or Sanskrit version, and there is an English version for the foreigners. And what this does is basically it cuts the karmic baggage of the humans so that something starts easing in their life, somehow they start relaxing in their life. Every person's experience is different. There is no sense in talking about what is my experience. So that is the mantra about.
So, how different are these mantras from the Gayatri mantra, the Hanuman Chalisa that we have?
They came from the king or one of the descendant of the king. This comes from the God.
So, sir, any final words that you like to say?
The final word is this, that try out God for 30 days as a utility. I repeat, as a utility. If it serves you, continue to be with God. If it doesn't serve you, drop it. So, what I actually want to give to the people, what I want to tell to the people, what I want the people to know is I have two healing devices. Number one is this book. You can buy it from my website, alakgod.com, alakHgod.com, or this healing card, which also the digital copy is in the website. Only thing now what I am telling you is talk about your negativity, your suffering, your pain, your anxiety, your worries, everything either to this card or to this book for 30 days and then see whether something shifts in you, something eases in you, some relief shows up in you. If yes, continue. If not, just drop it. You do not have to have any kind of drama around it. So that is all is my message for you.
So, can I ask you one more question if you don't mind? So, India is a place where we have lot of, Jyotirlingas, we have lot of temples, a lot of historical reverence when people talk about, this has happened, that has happened, lot of scriptures in caves. When you talk about God and when you talk about what you have learned from, your understanding of God, how do you justify those things that people truly believe now versus what you are telling?
They were given to the humans by the king, everything that you said. From God, nothing was given till I came. What is being given to the humans by God is this healing card and this book. What was given to the humans by the king? All the temples, all the holy places, all the mosques, all the scriptures, all the rituals, all everything else. So you have that from the king. You have two simple things from God. Try out God for 30 days. Decide.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll definitely try it. Thank you.
Thank you.